Alright, so today we learned a new skill called partial factoring, and we've used partial factoring to graph an equation. This is a parabola, and we've been given it in standard form, y equals 4x squared plus 12x minus 4. And essentially what partial factoring does is it allows us to use the fact that we know the y-intercept. The y-intercept of this graph is negative 4, and we know that the vertex is probably not going to lie on the y-intercept. In fact, it's certainly not, because we have a term of plus 12x as well. So we know that there's going to be another place where this graph has a value of y equals negative 4. So we'll actually just kind of sketch the line y equals negative 4 onto our grid. And the reason why I'm sketching this onto the grid is so that we can start to visualize that symmetry that I was talking about. So we know that one point on this quadratic is right there. Now, how do we find the other point? Well, for that, we have to figure out when this equation has a y value of 4. Because all the way along here, wherever we intersect this line, we're going to have a y value of 4. So step 1, we set the equation equal to the y-intercept. So in our case, in doing that, we would have minus 4 equals 4x squared plus 12x minus 4. Now, because both sides of the equation contain a negative 4, it's a moot point. We can ignore it. We just add 4 to both sides and they cancel out, and so we end up with 0 equals 4x squared plus 12x. And now what we do is we common factor. So first step was set the equation equal to the y-intercept. In the next step, we simplified, and then we simplified further, and then now we're going to common factor this. And so when I common factor, I see that I've got a 4 and an x that are common to both terms. So this will be 0 equals 4x and x plus 3. And so I have two possible answers to this. This tells me that 0 is equal to 4 times some number times some other number. Well, the 4 is not 0, so either some number is 0, so either x equals 0. Notice where x equals 0, we have our y-intercept. So this other number of x plus 3 must tell me how far along I have to go to find the other intersection with that line. So x plus 3 implies that at x minus 3, which is going to be somewhere in here, I must have my other situation where my quadratic crosses that line y equals 3. Notice my scale is negative 2, negative 4, negative 6. So now I can find my vertex. My vertex is going to be halfway in between these things. So this is an x-intercept of negative 3, and this is at 0. So halfway in between 0 and negative 3 is going to be my x-coordinate of my vertex. So the vertex has an x-coordinate of x equals negative 3 over 2. And so that's found by just finding exactly halfway in between 0 and negative 3, which is negative 3 over 2. And to find the y-coordinate, I'll just substitute it back into the original equation. So remember, the original equation was up here, y equals 4x squared plus 12x minus 4. So we'll substitute y equals 4 instead of x squared. I'll put negative 3 over 2 squared plus 12 times negative 3 over 2 minus 4. Now, just a little bit of simplifying here. It's going to be 9 plus, that's going to be 9 minus 18 minus 4. And simplifying that gives me 9 minus 18 is negative 9, minus 4 is negative 13. And so the y-coordinate of the vertex is negative 13, so my vertex is negative 3 over 2 and negative 13.